Welcome to the 6th Annual Soilcraft Conference. Join us as we listen to world-class speakers in the space of regenerative agriculture, as well as human health. We grow food. Food should nourish us, and often we find that our modern food is laden with unwanted synthetics or void of the minerals and vitamins we need to thrive. We endeavor to host this conference for your inspiration and education. Our calling is to help you produce food that heals people and our planet. Join us in this journey to become better stewards of our bodies and the world we abide in.
Why can't you get high Brix out of GMOs? I should probably move on to the next slide. I think that would be a wise move for me to do in order to answer your question. Okay. This is the reason why. When you are sick, not feeling well, what do? You go to bed. Why do you go to bed? It's like, well, because I'm sick. No. Why do you go to bed? Because I'm tired. You're tired. Now we're getting somewhere. Why are you tired? Well, you're tired because your body is making you tired. It is producing massive amounts of white blood cells. The immune system ramps up. When you make that much protein, you get tired, and you've got to go lie down. If you've ever worked out when you're sick, and I've done that before, holy smokes. I mean, that was like some of the biggest mistakes I've ever made, because you're like out for days at that point where you feel like you can barely move, because you need to rest in order to give your body the energy that it needs to make these proteins so that you'll feel better. So we've got a number of these proteins that need to be made that are doing a good job at fighting sickness. Here they are all up here. I'm referring mostly to the lymphocytes, the white blood cells in particular, but the others are also done. This all takes energy, and this energy is going to make you tired. All right, protein production. Protein production, translation, transcription, mRNA, tRNA, rRNA, and the production of ATP all take energy. This is necessary in order to make the protein. So you've got a massive amount of energy reserves that are being done in order to create proteins in your plant or in the human being in order to fight the disease. We also have drugs, pollutants, and pesticides in our system, and we have detoxification enzymes in order to take them out. And you know what those detoxification enzymes are? They're proteins. More of them need to be made. We have the esterases, the cytochrome P450s, the glutathione transferases, 3 major groups taking out all of the chemicals that they want out of the system. These 3 are found in humans. They're found in animals, they're found in microbes, they're found in plants. These are the major groups that detoxify everything in our world. They're all enzymes and they're all proteins. So when you have to fight a problem, a sickness, what does this result in? If it's a plant, it results in a sick plant. Why? Listen to what I just said. The plants, in order to fight the problems that it's putting up with, now have to produce excess proteins. Oh, but it gets much worse than that, actually. It gets much worse. GMO crops using the cryproteins. The cryproteins kill the insects, okay? And they do a good job of it. They really do a good job of it. The cryproteins came out first to take care of corn pest, specifically European corn borer, Australian nubulalis. That's how this all started. They made a cryprotein that would be injected via GMO into the genome, and it would kill the European corn borer, and it worked. When you have that cryprotein to kill the European corn borer, it worked beautifully. It looked somewhat miraculous. This was part of the beginning of GMO technology when we realized the power that we had. But did we really do anything as far as the European corn borer is concerned? To a certain extent, no, because the plants are weak, as I've mentioned to you several times during this presentation. Did you know And you're going to know now that the European corn borer is still attracted to those same corn plants. Did you know that? Did you know that they will actually alight on the plant? Did you know that they will still lay their eggs on this deadly plant? Did you know that the eggs will hatch? Little caterpillars will come out and start feeding on the plant, and at that point, the caterpillar dies. But you haven't made the plant healthy. The European corn borer is still interested in that same plant. Why? Because it's weakened. I told you at the beginning, the insects are only going after weakened plants. We have now weakened the plant with this cry protein. Why have we weakened the plant? Let me explain this to you. This is not a specific response. These cry proteins, it's a general response. Every single cell in the corn plant is affected. Every single cell produces the cry protein. What does that mean? It means it's tired. It means it's tired. All of the cry protein, doesn't matter, single stack, double stack, triple stack, they're all tired because they're producing 1, 2, 3 proteins, sometimes more. And because they're tired, I measure them on a refractometer, and I'm getting very low readings from them. I'm not impressed with the GMO technology. I'm very impressed with the technology itself from a scientific standpoint, but I'm not impressed with the product that I'm seeing that is coming from these GMO seeds. And why is this attacking the entire plant? Well, they can't do anything. They have to have everything in there. Ostrinia nubilalis goes after the stem. So it would kill them if they ever got into the stem. That's good. But did you know that this cry protein is also produced in the leaf, which is irrelevant to a European corn borer? Did you also know it was produced in the roots? That's also irrelevant to the European corn borer. Did you know it's actually produced in the corn cob, which is also irrelevant to the European corn borer? Every single cell is producing that cry protein, and the plant's tired in order to kill an insect that's only going after the stem. Now, in comes the corn earworm, which is now attacking the cob. You produce another cry protein to take that one out. Helicoverpa xera is the corn earworm, major problem in corn, and you can take it out with another cry protein because it will kill it in the corn ear. But that cry protein is found in the stem and the leaf and the roots, which the corn earworm doesn't care about. It's only going to be killed, for the most part, in the corn cob, the reproductive structure. Diabrotica, corn rootworms, same thing. Follow me now. They're going after the roots. The cry protein to take out Diabrotica is going to kill them in the roots, and it does work. But it's also being expressed in the stem. It's being expressed in the corn cob. It's being expressed in the leaf. You can't stop it from expressing itself. And you have tired plants. That is the reason why GMO is low Brix. And the soybean aphid, I've already introduced that to you already. The soybean aphid, for all practical purposes, just didn't exist before about 1999. Once 1996 came in, we weakened the plants to the point where the soybean aphid was now interested in it. It became one of the great pests of soybean today. So I've already talked about that already. And here are, wow, it is nice to have a beautiful spectrum which is not all messed up right now. So evidence that there is a God. Thank you for that gift right now. These are some of the spectrums that I wanted to show you during that first day that I was unable to do. And so these are the gustatory receptors, far infrared for the soybean aphid. I've already told you already about the connection between ammonia, the major peak of 10,400, corresponding with the ammonia peak, and we're also finding massive amounts of ammonia inside the soybean plant. And it is almost exclusively indicative of GMO, almost exclusively. Does that mean you can't find them in a non-GMO soybean? No. I mean, you can. You can, if the plant is weakened enough, the soybean aphid will attack that too. But this is almost exclusively a GMO problem. Greenhouse plants. Greenhouse plants are also notoriously low Brix. Now, there are several reasons for that. One, the fact that they're in pots. This does complicate things. They usually don't have the full repertoire. But there's also another problem with the greenhouse, and that is it's covered by glass or plastic. and that this absorbs almost all of the UV. All of the plants growing in a greenhouse are UV deficient. If you are not aware of this, that's because you probably got the mentality that the only thing that's important are the visible frequencies, the Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. But outside of that, we have the UV, and we have the infrared, and when you shut off the UV light, not only does it affect human beings, but it also affects the plants themselves. They are no longer able to absorb the UV frequencies. And because of this, they also suffer in their own way, and they are actually lower Brix because of it. But there is some hope. If you have a greenhouse and you can slide the roof down so that the sun comes in for probably no more than 30 minutes, you're going to get all the UV light that you need pretty much for the entire day. So there are some greenhouses that have overcome it. There are also some greenhouses that have inserted UV lights in there too, and improvements can be had. So I'm speaking in general terms. Most greenhouses are dealing with unhealthy plants. So as soon as the plants do get a chance, they will get out. And as soon as a branch gets out and the leaves get exposed to UV, the plant increases in Brix almost instantaneously at that point.
We all know the saying, you get what you pay for. In plant nutrition, cheap nutrients can be the most expensive thing you do. Low-quality fertilizers are inefficient and often loaded with salts like sodium, quietly stressing your plants, lowering Brix, and inviting pest pressure. At Soilcraft, we believe purity matters. That's why we offer the highest quality nutrients and biostimulants. Clean, efficient, and balanced, so your plants thrive and your soil builds life, not problems.
Why? Why? Well, it has to do with the amino acids. We got about 20 amino acids that are included in almost all of the proteins on planet Earth. I don't want to talk about all these 20, I only want to talk about 4. That would be phenylalanine, also tryptophan, tyrosine, and finally cysteine. I want to deal with the other 16. They also absorb a little bit of UV. They do their own thing, but these are the big heavyweights right now, absorbing UV. Absorbing UV radiation is important. Proteins are very good, especially with these 4 amino acids, at absorbing UV energy. All types of energy need to be absorbed by every living organism on Earth. Human being, plant, microbe, doesn't matter. Even an insect, same thing. We know this so well, we've even got UV absorption coefficients. And so there it is. We know exactly how much they absorb. We've got these coefficients. Tryptophan is the big one. The disulfide bond that I talked about in another presentation, a little bit lower though, but still relatively high, are also pretty good at absorbing UV, which is important for the life of the plant. Glyphosate kills plants by interfering with the synthesis of the essential amino acids, tryptophan, tyrosine, and phenylalanine. I'm going to give you a few seconds to let this sink in. Exactly the same amino acids. When you are putting out glyphosate, glyphosate has the same effect as doing what the greenhouse is doing. You are weakening the plant. It no longer is able to absorb the UV, and we get a very similar effect because the insects that we see attacking our greenhouse plants are all the lowest level insects, aphids being among them, the whiteflies too. You just don't find some of the higher insects going after that. It's not because they're excluded. There's almost always a way for an insect to get in, but it's all the sucking insects and the lower scum of the earth that are attacking those greenhouses because they are weakened in a very similar fashion to what glyphosate is doing. Irrigation issues. This also contributes to lowering leaf Brix. So irrigation is also an issue. The wheel line sprinklers, these are among some of the best. The center pivots, which usually involve a wheel line sprinkler, of course, very good. But we have problems with drip irrigation. Why do we have problems with drip irrigation? One, because it's dripping. Water doesn't drip on a plant long term throughout the entire life cycle of it. And so when it's dripping, the only water source is where it's dripping from. And because of this, the root turns into a ball, and we get ball roots. Ball roots are not healthy for a plant. They're not supposed to be in a ball. They're usually supposed to spread. So immediately, we've got a problem. And so you may not know what's going on above, but as soon as you go down and you see that that's the problem, it helps to explain why you're getting such a low Brix on the particular plant. So if you've got something which is above and spreading the water, we get much better results out of that because why? Well, it simulates rain a lot better, and so that just makes sense. But if it's just introducing it to the ground and it doesn't have a chance to coat the plant or coat the leaves, they do enjoy a good rain every once in a while, every plant does, but it's deprived of them. And I understand why we do that, because this happens in the desert Southwest a lot. Well, we don't have water, Tom. That's why we do the drip irrigation. Okay, I get that. But now I'm telling you, because you don't have water and because you're doing this, this is the reason why your Brix is low. So that's what I'm telling you right now. Take-home message, there are consequences for everything we do. And you need to live with those consequences. You must understand those are the consequences. If you want to go ahead, if you realize, okay, I'm at the edge of a very tall mountain. If I jump, I'm probably going to die. There are consequences with jumping off of a very large mountain. Therefore, you think, okay, I probably should move back. That's the sensible thing to do. But if someone jumps, you think, stupid? What an idiot. He must have known the consequences, that by the time, not falling is a problem, but hitting the ground is the problem, is that you will die once you hit the ground. These are the consequences of jumping off a very large mountain. Understand the consequences. This is what I'm going through with all of these different points. Water quality is also an issue too. High TDS, a lot of our stuff is getting plugged up. This is an issue. The type of water I mentioned, the irrigation water, if it's high salt, you're going to have issues too, and this will also contribute to lowering the Brix levels. So the water quality can be helped out. We've not got some new products out. We've got the Rainmaker, now the Rain Box. We've got Green Lightning, which is also coming out with taking care of the water, throwing nitrogen in it. We're getting better results with this stuff because we're not using the nitrogenous fertilizers. When we use the Green Lightning, the Rain Box is really good at putting oxygenated water into it. And so there are water treatments that are out there in order to help things along. This is something here. This is a southern magnolia tree. I knew it was low in nitrogen, very, very low in nitrogen. It's been a problem for 10 years. I introduced some Green Lightning water to it, and the leaves grew 4 times. So, and this happened within 2 weeks after it was applied. So water quality is definitely an issue. There are ways in order to increase the health, and so there are a lot of products that are out there. I just mentioned those 2, but there are others as well that are doing a good job. Compaction. Compaction is a problem too. Compaction is a problem because I'm only getting lower Brix plants on compacted soil. Why? Because there's no oxygen in the soil. And if there's no oxygen in the soil, you don't have the aerobic microbes. And if you don't have the aerobic microbes, you can't get minerals into your plant. So what do? You foliar feed. Because that's really the only way you're going to be able to get them in now, because you have compacted land. So you must bypass the natural mechanism that a plant uses in order to health itself up. That's why compaction is a problem. And so, not a huge fan of this issue. I understand that there are certain methods in agriculture which are contributing to this. I am not a particular fan of them. I actually do believe that we do need to get oxygen to our plants. It's kind of a novel concept for some, not so with others. And because of that, this is also going to be consistently lowering our Brix. If I found that you could do what you're doing with your compacted soil and give me higher Brix plants, I would then be supportive of your agricultural methods. But right now, as it stands, I'm not impressed. Compacted soil is sometimes known as high-mag soil. Why is that? Because there's a lot of magnesium in it. If there's a lot of calcium in it, it becomes flocculated. When calcium is introduced, it flocculates the soil, opens it up, you get a lot more oxygen in, the plant healths up, the Brix rises. but usually magnesium is very, very common in the compacted soils. So if you have either compacted soil or high mag soil, interchangeable, this is why you are having some issues. Oxygen, highly paramagnetic and highly reactive. So it is highly reactive. We know about the reactive oxygen species, but we also understand that oxygen is very, very important to have and to breathe, whether you're a human or a microbe trying to take a breath. We do need about an 80-20 relationship between aerobic and anaerobic bacteria. Anaerobics have their part, just make sure they don't take over. Because if they do take over, what happens? Well, one, you're going to get a lower Brix plant. But when the anaerobics take over, you get smells. Your soil stinks. That's what anaerobic bacteria do. If you pick it up and it's got a nice, comfortable, I wouldn't call it sweet smell, but it's got that soil smell that we often get after a rain. That's geosmin, which is made by the actinomycetes, and that is indicative of healthy soil. They are an oxygen-based microbe, and that's why healthy soil smells good. And when it goes bad and goes anaerobic, it stinks. Okay. High-density planting. High-density planting is a problem too. This should make sense. If I am getting a little bit too close to you, as I kind of did with Denver last night, you know, I invaded his space. He invaded my space first, remember. But when you start invading someone else's space, you get a little uncomfortable. Nobody likes to be right next to someone where you're actually touching. We can see we're all a little spread out right now. We all understand our comfort zones, and we don't like to be that close. Plants do the same thing. Plants want exactly the same thing. They like a little bit of extra room. Otherwise, they're getting a little too close, and they're competing for micronutrients. And unless you plan on dumping a lot of micronutrients out in order to feed them, you are going to have issues.
We're so glad you enjoyed this installment from our in-person conference. We want this to reach as many people as possible, so we've decided to release this free to you bit by bit every month. But imagine how awesome it would be in person. The networking, questions, and discussions that result are equally as valuable. Join us next year in person for our 2026 conference. Your presence makes the experience. If you have any questions or needs, please reach out. Call, email, follow. We can help.